Hello, everyone, and welcome to Inspire, Innovate, Ignite. These are conversations that count. And I am so excited this evening because we are going to be having a really great conversation on the ancient wisdom in modern times. And my name is Josette Dia. I am your facilitator tonight, and I would like to start off by letting you know a little bit about Sacred You. Love. We are a beautiful organization of men and women who are across the globe. And our mission is to empower and inspire other men and women around the globe. So let's get started on our topic tonight. And I'd like to start off by having each of our wonderful panelists tell us who they are and what they do. And then we're going to get started on asking some questions and diving into the ancient wisdom in modern times, because this is a really great topic for us to really start, diving into, especially with, the world being as fast as it is these days, and how we can all help ourselves and heal within and really become more and more empowered. So I'm going to just randomly go by my screen off to my right. And so, Joyita, you're the first person that is on my right. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. Namaste, and thank you for being here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here. I'm from India, and it is 6:30 a.m. in the morning, and I'm so excited to start my day with this beautiful women over here. I am a Reiki Grandmaster, and I have been practicing for the last 25 years. I am a multimodality coach. I conduct workshops on inner child healing, on the divine feminine, on forgiveness and gratitude. I am also honored to be a tribe host of this beautiful tribe called the Child Within, where we do inner child healing. These meetings are held every alternate Thursdays. So the first one, the next one after this panel discussion is on the 14th. So this Thursday we can meet at 4:30 p.m. AEDT. And in case you need any more details, it would be given in the comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joita. And Rainbow, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Yeah, hi. I am a retired holistic medical doctor. I was actually the first holistic doctor in New York City. I now live in Southern California in the desert, and I'm working as a health coach online. Some of my focus has always been on longevity and teaching people how to reverse the aging process. But I also have recently been focusing on helping women heal fibroids without surgery, because it's really an epidemic and they're not given many alternative options with fibroids. I'm also a fasting expert. I've been supervising therapeutic fasts for almost 50 years. And I'm really excited to be part of this wonderful community.
Thank you. We're so glad you're here. I appreciate that. Vanashree, would you please introduce yourself as well?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm so glad I'm going to be a panelist on this platform of Sacred You. I love what you're doing in the world, and when I found out about what's going on, and I was super excited to be on this and talk about what I do and what I could bring to the platform. So I am an Ayurvedic practitioner. I have a degree called BAMS, that is Bachelor's of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery. I have done my education in India, and I moved to United States, Minnesota in 2013. And since then, I've been practicing Ayurveda here in America. Let me tell you, it's awesome to spread this knowledge all around the world, because the world truly needs it. And I feel spreading the holistic traditional system of my country gives me a lot more joy than just spreading the holistic medicinal system, right? So because that was my manifestation. I always love to tell people how manifestation can be powerful. And this I had manifested on the first day of my college, literally when our principal told us to stand up and say, what do you want to do with your life? I was like, I want to globalize this science. I want to take it to the entire world and show how powerful it is. And I totally forgot I had manifested this, but the universe, just keeps working in the background to get whatever you want. So that's how I ended up in America. Well, that's a long story. I wouldn't go there. But yeah, I do offer virtual and in-person consultations. I do have a beautiful clinic on a 17-acre nature preserve here in Minnesota. It's just wonderful. And then I also offer a lot of detoxification therapies called panchakarma therapies, where we try to balance and detoxify on a deeper level. We try to balance all the elements in the body. But Ayurveda also believes that as a human being, we exist in so many different layers of existence, right? Like our body, our mind, our spirit, our psyche, our emotions. And that's what I do. I try to connect the dots through pulse diagnosis. So I'm also a trained pulse diagnosis physician, or Ayurvedic physician is what I like to call. And I check the pulse on both the wrists, try to connect the dots on all these layers of existence, and then try to balance the human being. So that's what I do. Well, thank you for having me on the panel. I'm loving being here.
Oh, thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful work that you do. Thank you. And Saidi, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Hello, my name is Saidi. I am a medicine woman and founder of Healing Sacred Feminine. And right now I've been in a little bit of a transition, but I'm really kind of moving back to some of my roots, which is working with sacred sexuality and helping us to return to more of a recognizing the sacredness of our body and coming together in union and finding that balance of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine within ourselves, so that we can then connect with another from a healthy heart-based place. So it's our sexuality has been vilified, demonized, dirtified, so many things. So yeah, I'm just really, really excited to help us return to a healthier way of sexual expression without all the guilt and shame and the weird stuff that's been put upon us by the interesting systems we've grown up in. I'm thrilled to be here tonight, and I'm already hearing some great ancient wisdoms here that I'm excited to hear more from people about. So yay.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sadie. It's so nice to have all of you here. And for our audience, you can see that we have a panelist of real wise women that you are in the presence of. And we would love to hear from you. If you have any questions, please be sure to put them in the chat. We do have someone keeping an eye on that, and we will be notified that you have a question. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I have a couple of questions for you that I think are going to be pretty good. And I suppose I should let you know a little bit about myself just briefly. So I mentioned my name is Josette Dia, and I'm your facilitator tonight. And I am a self-awareness coach for women in midlife. I lead women in midlife on their path to clarity as they find their direction with the creative process. So our first question tonight is, can you identify examples of ancient wisdom being applied in modern wellness practices, such as mindfulness, meditation, or alternative healing methods? And there's a second part to this question. So if you need to ask me again, please don't hesitate. What aspects of these ancient teachings contribute to the effectiveness in promoting mental, emotional, and physical well-being today? So I'd like to start off. I'm just going to pick someone. Vanashree, would you mind answering that question?
Absolutely, I would love to. So what examples of ancient wisdom being applied in the modern wellness practices today? This actually is a very interesting question, because I feel there are so many examples that people are not even knowing that they're applying, sometimes like simple things like using spices in their cooking, is such an ancient teaching that has been followed for generations together, but people don't know. And it's so much related to Ayurveda too. When I talk about spices, people are really awakened as to, oh my God, I didn't know that spices can do this in my body. Like spices have the power to do this, and they did not know why they're there and why they're there only at a certain time in the year. Like say for instance, right now we are in the winter here in Minnesota, and it's all about like apple pies and all the Thanksgiving food and cookies and stuff like that, right? All celebration holiday food. But people add so many different spices to it, like cinnamon. Cinnamon is such a warming spice. It's a warming and a heating spice in the body. And what does it do is it counteracts and balances the sugar content in the desserts that we are eating. So I feel that there are so many examples like these that are applied in our lives and have been passed generations together, people without knowing that they are using it already to balance themselves. But the fact is, if we know how to use them, when to use them, and if you have the right body type to use them, can really enhance the effect of spices in our system, is what I feel, not just on our body, but again, on our emotions, on our spirit, because they all are very, very deeply connected. So I feel, yes, absolutely. The second part of this is how can they contribute to their effectiveness in promoting mental, emotional, and physical well-being? Again, understanding a lot more about how, like what are the qualities, because Ayurveda works so much on qualities of things. Like we have 20 different qualities that we work with. So certain things that go in our body are heating, certain are cooling, certain are neutral. What does that spice do to our system when it goes in our system? Like say, for instance, cilantro. It's an herb, right? It's not a spice, but we use cilantro quite often in so many different dishes. Cilantro is an extremely astringent and a cooling herb to use. So when should we use this? Ideally, summer would be the right time to use it because there's a lot of heat outside, and cilantro's astringent and cooling properties can really cool down your system. So simple things like that, knowing the knowledge of the spices or knowing the qualities of the spices can really empower us to keep our mind cool as well during summer, right? If we do cilantro, if we use lime, if we use so many other cucumbers, all are cooling. And more than that, I feel this is also very intuitive. I feel you have to listen to what your body is saying, listen to what your mind is saying, because your intuitive power is always overruling everything else. So that's what I feel is worth mentioning.
I love that. Thank you so much. I mean, there's so many things that I could ask you because of Ayurvedic is such a powerful tool, and it's beyond a tool, right? It's a way of living.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much. I love that you touched on the different, body types and what that does for you, and should you be eating certain things. And so I think that is extreme ancient wisdom that we've all are using and don't really know it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Rainbow, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. When I was thinking about this question, I realized that just about everything that I do and that I use does come from ancient wisdom. I mean, even in my medical practice, except for homeopathy, which is more modern, but still, the use of herbs and everything else. And I sort of wrote down a list of things that I see, and I'm just going to list them off and then maybe talk about a couple. Most of these I've used in my practice, except I am not an Ayurvedic expert. I know that it's ancient wisdom and it's something I'm not trained in. But of course, what comes to mind is meditation and mindfulness. And I think that's something that really, I think, permeates almost everything. Then I was also thinking about the concept of Buddhism and Stoicism, which are both very ancient. It's ancient knowledge. It's not necessarily connected to healing, but indirectly these principles are, the concept of trusting in nature and, non-judgmental. Yoga, of course, traditional Chinese medicine, which I have worked with, and breath work and fasting. And so these are, I think they really are ancient principles that, come into many of what's being used today, really. Until I just spoke a minute ago, I forgot how ancient fasting is. It seems, contemporary, but every religion has used fasting. And so Buddhism goes back 500 years before Christ. And I work a lot with Taoist martial arts. That goes back thousands of years. And a lot of these things do really go back. And many of them use some form of meditation. A lot of them use some form of breath work. And again, because, the fasting is basically a spirit, I use it as a doctor for healing, but basically it is a spiritual process. And unless you do it with a spiritual consciousness, you're stuck in materialism and seeing the body as a thing, not as a whole. So I think, to kind of summarize a lot of these things is that it's the concept of holistic. And I think when we look at modern healing, looking at ancient things, they are all more holistic in the sense of looking at every part of us. And I don't think there is any way to work on any kind of healing unless it's holistic, unless you look at the whole thing. And to maybe answer the second part is how does it affect our mental state or our, for me, the key thing in all the techniques that I use is empowerment. And I think that's how all of these ancient healing techniques affect our life and our mental state, because it empowers us to find a way to heal ourselves, to use these things that ultimately we are healing ourselves.
Do you find, oh, thank you, Franca. It led me to a question when I was listening to you. Do you find that, like in modern times, that we're missing some aspects of the holistic approach? I mean, I know that there are a lot of practitioners out there that do this, yet there are some that may not. And what do you think is missing the most, I guess, is my question.
Well, don't get me started on materialism and breaking things. I find even in the holistic, quote holistic, a lot of naturopaths and they still treat it like materialistic. You're lacking in this, let's give you this. And it still is not looking at engaging the entire being. And I don't think there's any, I'm in a place right now, I've had a shattered ankle and I've been in bed for 9 weeks. And I found out that one of the bones isn't healing the way I rejected surgery, but it is healing crooked, and I may or may not end up getting the surgery because I have such a strong belief in finding ways to engage, our connection with spirit and our connection with our personality. And ever since the Industrial Revolution, what we have done is we break things down into parts. Even when we look at nutrition, it's like, ooh, do we get enough of this? And it all makes us look like we're lacking in something. I think we need to look at how to make things work, but we are going against society, which is breaking things down into their material parts, only looking at one thing. And I think that when in the healing world that happens, healing is kind of doomed.
Mm.
I don't know if that answered your question, but it got
It
me.
does. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I totally understand. What I just kind of want to mirror back what I heard you say, which was really that society has carved out our humanness rather than actually looking at the totality and the wholeness of ourselves as human beings. We only look at pieces, like you were saying. And so therefore we're not really treating all of us, we're only treating a part of us, and each part has something to do with the other. So thank you. Um, so Joyita, I'd like to give you an opportunity to answer this same question.
Sure, I would like to answer. So Vanashree has already answered the Ayurveda part because this is a way of life for us over here in India. But I would like to touch upon a more intense thing that we are doing regularly, but we don't think of is deep breathing. Breathing is what makes us alive, and it dates back to thousands of years back, and it was practiced by the yogis, and we call it pranayam. So prana means life force, and yam means control. So by controlling your breathing, you can not only master your mind, but you can keep several diseases away. So it is very relevant in today's world because there's a lot of stress. There is the bad air quality. There is decreased immunity. A lot of chronic diseases are increasing. Uh, so for all these things, even things like heart diseases, blood pressure, obesity, breathing is such a beautiful thing, and it does have its roots in ancient, uh, what do I say, medical practices, or it was a way of life. And for us, we all know that we need to breathe, but how we need to breathe is so important. And that is something we are not putting a lot of stress on. You put on weight by certain breathing practices, you can, burn your calories. I mean, I'm sure Vanashree would be able to explain that better. But people would first thing they would do is, buy all the equipment and go to the gym, or they would put on a headphone and go running without being mindful. So when you're running with those headphones on, I think it is not at all mindfulness. And I always feel scared that you might be just hit by something. So yes, these are very important practices, and we are doing it. And we are not aware what we are doing. A little bit of awareness into your breathing can bring in such beautiful results.
I love that. I'm so glad that you brought up breathing because it is such an ancient, I don't know what to call that. It's not,
Wisdom.
thank you. Yes, an ancient wisdom, yes. And knowing how to apply it
Yeah.
is, really fascinating. So thank you for bringing that into the conversation. I think that's really important. Saidi, would you like to answer the same question? I'm sorry, I'd like to have you all answer the same question because you all have such great different answers. So I like to roll with it that way. So I hope you're good with it.
Sounds great. I was when listening to Rainbow Talk and listening to contemplating the holistic aspect of working with ourselves. I was just thinking about something that I hadn't thought about when I was reading the questions, pondering this ancient wisdom was astrology, and really working with the planetary energies and the cycles and the moon and nature, getting back into touch with a natural rhythm and the cycles of nature versus the calendar that we've been given that is not based on a natural cycle for us. So especially as women, working with the cycles of the moon, helping us to the further we get away from the Gregorian calendar and start working with time, our experience of time in a different way, we start to really understand ourselves and touch into ourselves starting to see our cycles, our own personal cycles, our emotional cycles, our energetic cycles, like when we're going to have more energy, when we're going to be a little more tired, throughout the year, throughout the day, throughout the month, you know, however that works. And that's been just a huge piece for me, of starting to get a lot more awareness of the energies of the planets, what they're doing. And it's just been a complete game changer for me. I don't know what people do without astrology, honestly. I'm like, how do you navigate the world? How do you navigate life? You know, when these big energies are happening and people are just wondering, like, what's going on? It's like, if we follow the astrology, we know exactly what's going on, so we can prepare for that. And we know that we're not going crazy, that it's okay, that somebody's a little more upset or frustrated this day because the astrology lines up with that. And we can just really kind of step back and just like, okay, it's just the energies right now. It's just what we're working with. It's just in the collective. We don't have to take it personally. We don't have to dive into it. We don't have to attach to it. We just let the energy flow through. And it's just such a more relaxing way to go about life. So yeah, and it's funny, I've got to say this, and it matches with what everybody's shared here. But when I was contemplating, I'm like, ancient wisdom. What is that? What am I doing that's ancient wisdom? And I guess everything I'm doing is from ancient wisdom, you know. It's just like, but it's just, you know, what we do. So it's kind of funny to put that terminology on it. Or I guess for people that are more intentional with the way they're living, it's just a regular part of their day. So I kind of had to pick that apart a little bit. But yeah, back when I wasn't quite so conscious, I definitely wasn't aligning with any sort of ancient wisdom.
It's
Not
so true.
intentionally, right?
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head with that. I think that we don't really think of it being ancient, and yet even even a lot of the conversations that we have around, like your nervous system and stuff, those are different. You know, there are very ancient teachings that address those things as well, especially in mindfulness. And so I think you've really pinpointed something that's important for people to kind of like stop and take notice of.
I feel like it's really just some basic human truths, you know, the experience of living in a human body. You know, there's just some things that are always going to be true. You know, they're not going to change because it's how we are, you know, unless we evolve like way into some other experience. But, you know, like breathing, that's just, we breathe. So the more conscious we are with our breathing and intentional, you know, the more smooth our experience is going to be. So thank you. I love this conversation.
No, it's a good one, isn't it? So thank you so much. Yes, Rainbow.
I'd like to make a comment about the breathing. I'm like the least academic kind of MD. I mean, I don't even care about studies, but what I want to bring in is there was a medical journal article like 2 weeks ago that came out studying breath work and its effect on stress and anxiety. And they have found, and what they did is they studied all the literature everywhere they could. They found 72 different interventions with different studies that are out there. And not only did they prove, surprise, surprise, that breathing does decrease stress and anxiety. But the interesting thing also was that they studied almost every kind of breath work, the yoga breathing and the fast breathing and the slow breathing and the meditative mindful, they studied at least a dozen different types of breath work. And it didn't really matter. What mattered was it was at least 5 minutes at a time. The one that didn't work was only fast breathing by itself. That did not, have an effect. But as long as it wasn't only fast breathing and it was more than 5 minutes regularly, these are medical journal articles. So, I don't care about that because everything that I've done, I know, I don't care. But when I do see in the conventional world in ways that they catch up and they finally say, duh. It is a little gratifying to me because so many people out there only trust that approach. And so when I see that it infiltrating and doing studies, it's gratifying to me as a physician.
I can totally understand that. I think that for years and years, there have been so many things that people have done, whether it's been practicing ancient wisdom modalities or metaphysics, whatever it is. And now science is catching up to all of those things. I mean, quantum, we could go into a whole other topic on that. So yes, I agree. Okay, let's move on to our second question. I'm going to start with Joyita. Excuse me, Joyita. Can you share a personal transformation that was inspired by an ancient spiritual teaching, and share a creative way that you've incorporated ancient teachings into your personal or professional life or?
Thank you so much. This is a lovely question, and I'm so honored that I'm getting the opportunity to answer it. So, we have heard of the Bhagavad Gita. It is I wouldn't say a book. It is a teaching of the God to a normal human being. So here, Krishna, we say that he's a God, but for me, Krishna is a consciousness. So the teachings of the Gita, it has sparked a profound personal transformation in my life. I have embraced this wisdom on the duty, the detachment, and the pursuit of self-realization. And I found, great amount of peace. And amidst life is very challenging. There have been challenges in my life, and I found extreme amount of peace. And when I say of the challenges, this is not only in my personal life, but also in the professional life. I had been into the corporate world, and it is very fast paced, and there is a lot of competition and a lot of work happening. So it helped me to stay detached. I had learned to focus only on the task at hand. And of course, when you are working in a corporate, you are always appraised on the success or failure of the project that has been given to you. However, these things have never marred me. They have never pulled me down. So I could always find peace. And I think for me, peace is most important than anything else. And I could maintain that equilibrium or the balance in my personal and professional spheres. And yeah, I can only think of Bhagavad Gita, though because I am a Reiki master, I have been working with Buddhism a lot, and I have so this is this concept of metta prayers or forgiveness. I have practiced that a lot, and I have been a forgiveness coach for the Sacred You community also. So these two things have helped me to balance my life and stay peaceful. Yes.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that personal information with us. And I loved what you said about peace, that peace is like a very important thing to you because it really implies how you move in the world, how you live your life, how you interact with those that are in your life. And that's really a beautiful thing to hold in your heart and carry that with you everywhere you go. Thank you for sharing that. Saidi, would you like to answer the same question?
Yes. Could you repeat the question?
Yes. Yes. Can you share a personal transformation inspired by an ancient spiritual teaching, and share a creative way that you've incorporated that ancient teaching in your personal and or professional life?
Yes. Okay, I'm thinking now of I got involved in a spiritual community some years back, and my teacher taught from the Hindu tradition. And so we made pilgrimage to India, and then I started going every year. And part of that was my fascination and my love of it was going to the goddess temples and connecting with the different goddess energies. And what that did for me was really just blew the doors open on my understanding of the feminine energies and helping me to just connect with them within myself and strengthen them and get to know them, and just having a place. We don't have that kind of, well, I guess there's some sacred feminine stuff here with in different traditions, in the Christian tradition, but I just never related to that. So having these temples to go to and to feel the energy and the ooh, I get a little emotional. It's just such a powerful experience there. It's a different energy there. So it just really helped me to open up and to connect with the energies in me in a whole different way, and really open that up, because again, what we've been taught here, what I got out of the Christian religion that I grew up in was a lot of sin and shame, and Eve is the originator of sin, and that was my experience of the feminine energy. It's just like, wow, that's not pleasant. So it was a very different thing, connecting to like Durga, who's just fierce and like rah, warrior. And it's just like, wow, that's a very different energy, and it really changed my experience. So and I work with them every day, so that's how it's changed. I continue to work with the different goddesses and different Shaktis, and again to strengthen them within myself and to learn different aspects of myself. And yeah, it's kind of shifting and changing. I work with the different Shaktis as I move along, like it's different lessons I learned from each one. And it's a gorgeous exploration and unfolding, and it will just keep going, I'm sure. So yeah, that's a beautiful question.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for your share. I can just feel your energy
I know
around what you're saying, and I'm just like, oh, I could totally see it.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
excited.
beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Vanashree, would you like to go next and answer the same question?
Yes, absolutely. So one personal transformation inspired by an ancient spiritual teaching. This happened to me when I was 16 years old. I've always been brought up in a very spiritually attained family. My mom and dad have always been very spiritual. If you ever come to my house in India, as soon as you enter my house, you would see like this giant wall of libraries filled with teachings from every guru possible, and I grew up with that. So I'm so fortunate that I got. But sometimes as a teenager, you resist everything that your parents tell you, right? You're at that age that you don't want to listen because your parents are always wrong for you and you don't want to listen to them. And my mom was like, you need to go learn a certain type of meditation that she was trained in. She has been having different sorts of gurus, and she's been training with a lot of like Paramahansa Yogananda, Sri Ravi Shankar. So she has a lot of gurus that she is trained with, and she wanted me to at least start somewhere because she wanted me to teach meditation the right way. She didn't want me to just like, no, just sit down, close your eyes, because as a teenager, you have you're all hormonal. You have so many things going on in your life, right? You don't want to, sitting is the last thing on your mind. Sitting peacefully is the last thing on your mind. So she literally forced me to go to this program by Art of Living. I don't know how many people know here what Art of Living is. It's by a program by Sri Ravi Shankar. And he's one of the gurus that I deeply love and I deeply follow. So I went to the program, and now after like so many years, now I can truly understand what prana is and what is prana. Prana is the life force energy that lives in every living thing on this planet. And I have experienced that prana vibrate through me, through every cell of my being. When I was 16 years old, I did this process called Sudarshan Kriya at that time. And literally, it's a process with breathing. And after that, you go into a deep state of meditation. But now, where people call it whatever waves, alpha, delta, or whatever people are now calling it, right? Whatever waves you go to. Who knew back then? But literally, I experienced my entire being vibrating, and that transformed my entire universe. I was like, you see, we as a human being, we know we have a body. As a human being, we know we are breathing. We know here everything logically, but we don't experience it unless we know we are in our body. But who are we? So that soul realization that I am the soul that resides in me. I am not my body. I'm not the breath. I'm not my mind. Who is Vanashree for me? Is that soul, that self, that pristine, clear, unadulterated soul that lives in this body is me. And that deep realization happened when I was 16, and it has been stuck with me until now. Like every single, I still have goosebumps when I talk about this, because that first experience, that when you feel what prana is and how it can shake everything inside, can really transform you as a person from deep within, like through your gut, through your core. And I really feel that this teaching has helped me so much in my personal, my professional life, since the time that I was married. Like, as a woman, there are so many healers here who work with women. As a woman, we go through so many transformations, more than men, I feel. Like, especially with our hormones, we have so many roles to juggle in our lives, as a mom, as a sister-in-law, as a wife, like so many. And this can really get to you at some point in your life. And this meditation that I've learned is what I see to it, that I do not start my day without meditating, because if I don't, it never happens. It's something that it has become my second nature now, and I'm really, knock on wood, I would say I've gotten there, and it's really hard to achieve that. But yeah, it is possible, and it's truly possible to do it. But yeah, I start my day with meditation, and professionally, this has helped me with pulse diagnosis, because pulse diagnosis or pulse assessment is such an intuitive process. It's not just assessing someone's pulse and reading the heart rate, right? It's something where you connect to the consciousness of the person in front of you. So when I check the pulse, even before I touch that person, I can feel what that person is going through. I can feel that consciousness flowing through me, So this meditation, it's such a simple thing. People think meditation is controlling your thoughts. It's actually bang opposite of that, right? Meditation is not at all controlling your thoughts. Meditation is observing your thoughts. Meditation is going to a place where you do not have any thoughts left, right? So I feel that is that was such a big transformation for me in my life. And I've thanked my mom over 1,000 times for pushing me to go to that course and do it finally. Yes.
That's beautiful. What a lucky thing to experience when you were 16. I mean, to have that kind of experience of just the purity of the energy that you experienced. And now you are using that in your work,
Yes.
which is something that I actually really relate and love, because it's something that I do in my own work with women in midlife. It's following those golden threads that have always been there with you. And so you have that experience that you brought it with you, and here you are doing it every day. And I really love that. Thank you so much for sharing just the wealth of wisdom that you just poured into us. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I move on, I just want to update our questions. We did have a question from one of our listeners on Facebook, that she wanted some more information around the astrology and the nature and energies, and where she could locate that. And Saidi, thank you so much for giving that information in the chat. Molly McCord has some great astrology books that Saidi recommends, and a weekly podcast on YouTube. So that's a great place to start. So thank you so much. And please ask any other questions you have. I think there might be something else down here. Did I get it all? Yes. Okay. So Rainbow, I'd like to ask you your experiences with a personal transformation that's been inspired by ancient wisdom, and how has that impacted your how have you incorporated it in your life now?
Well, the profound experiences that I had affected me both personally and professionally. I graduated from medicine in 1973. That's almost 51 years ago. And, I went to regular medical school, and I was this little academic, and miserable but I wasn't a quitter. So I said, I'm going to stick this out. But I hated medical school because it was so inhuman. But I still thought I wanted to help people. That's why I wanted to be a doctor. So I thought, well, they're teaching me. And so, it was 1973. None of you experienced the 70s probably, but it was an amazing time when all these new ideas were streaming, and the humanistic psychology and, all the kind of new therapies. And so I experienced a lot of these things. And there were two things that really changed my life. Well, going back, I have been sickly since I was an infant. I've had like 45 serious diagnoses. I mean, I was so sickly, my medical school classmates would be shocked that I'm alive. So I spent most of my early life and all through medical school seriously ill. And I had these revelations. There were two things that changed my life and my healing and my health and how I looked at medicine. One was the concept of personal responsibility. And I think that just came to me in doing all these things, showing me, wait a minute, I don't have to be a victim. I don't have to go begging, fix me to the doctors, which we're never able to. Probably for my own transformation, they weren't supposed to, but I never got any help. But the thing that really changed was my experience with a couple of martial arts masters, Aikido and Tai Chi at the time. And I experienced this invisible thing that we call energy or prana, or I like to call it qi because I'm very much in the Chinese system, but it's all the same. And in medical school, you can't see qi. So what the heck does it have to do with it? It's like woo-woo. And it totally changed my life because here was this invisible thing that had power. And it lived in me, and it was part of me. And I was never able to see medicine the same. And in terms of beginning to do a lot of my self-healing between that self-responsibility and the concept of energy, which was, I got very involved in yoga then too. So prana, through the study of yoga, and I am a martial arts teacher. And so through the Asian concept, but it's really all the same. It's that life force energy. My website is called Healing from the Source. So a lot of what I've used in my practice was, teaching Qigong and yoga and some Chinese martial arts. And the medicine that I used was homeopathy, which is energy medicine. Ain't no substance in a homeopathic medicine. It's all energy. I used to call it the personality of, if it was Hypericum, it would be the personality of St. John's wort. So, and for me, with fasting, how does that relate to energy? Well, the word I use for the universal spirit that created the world. And, I don't mind using the word God, but I don't care what word you use. But I do believe that that is all there is, that God or spirit or the creative feminine or mother nature, whatever you want to call it, I believe that's the only true thing. And so when you work with fasting, you take yourself, and I've done some Native American things that take you to your knees too but it takes you to that place of what I need is within me rather than without me. And Western medicine says, oh, this thing, you're sick because something out here hurt you. You'll get well if you take something out here. So all of this to me was this connection with the creator and that life force energy. And that's where healing takes place. So that is how I have healed from countless diseases, by finding a way to connect in whatever way I do, whether it's with live foods that have life force, or fasting, or doing energy work with Qigong or yoga. That's how I have healed myself and what I have used in how I help others to heal themselves.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think what you're really touching on is a lot around there are many paths to the same thing, and that when you pay attention to something in particular, that energy is going to form around it. And so therefore, if it's focused on healing, then you will have healing, right? So thank you so much. We have like about 9 minutes, and so I'd like to ask the question of what ancient practice or ritual do you believe could have a profound impact if reintroduced today in our daily lives? I think we've had like some really great conversations around things that we're already using, but is there something else that maybe we're not quite touching on that you have in your awareness that you'd like to bring out and remind all of us and our listeners of another ancient wisdom? And I'd like to start with you, Saidi.
Yeah, we've touched on it a little bit here, but energy, for me and everything that I've learned, everything is made of energy. And when we start working with everything as energy, we just drastically change our experience. And that's been huge for me, and a huge piece of what I teach people and help them to understand. Our food is energy. The people we're around are energy. Our careers are energy. Our everything is energy. And when we start just looking at it as high frequency, low frequency, no judgment, it doesn't really matter, but whatever we're surrounding ourselves with is what we're going to experience. So the more that we can align with what we want to, and we get to decide if we want to, free will, if we want to hang out with low vibe stuff, go for it. But most of us want to be in that peace and love and joy and, a higher vibration. So learning how to make the healthy choices for ourselves and surround ourselves with that vibration. So yeah.
Thank you so much. Vanashree, would you like to answer that?
Yes. What ancient ritual or practice would benefit in the modern times? I think, well, there are so many that come to top of mind, because I mean, this is the time when it's truly needed, I feel, especially after like COVID. I feel after COVID, there was a big awakening, right? A big awakening happened on so many layers of existence, right? Like we are so insignificant. We cannot even fight a virus. Like a tiny microscopic thing can kill us. Like we're not even significant, right? So I think reintroducing, because in the modern times now, I feel everything is so fast-paced and people want instant gratification. People want instant connection. People want everything instant, anything that takes time to do is something that people won't invest time in, right? And I feel that realization to happen is some things take time. Like I always say, Ayurveda is a school of slow. It's not something that you're going to see an instant gratification with, or an instant result with, because there is a big reasoning behind it. Why? Because it takes time to go to the root of the imbalance, right? And to go to the root, it would need time. And that's what I feel, is to bring this awareness or realization back to this modern times, that slow is not bad. Slow is good. And the effect of what things do on a slower pace can have a more deeper and a profound balancing effect on our system than having something that will give you instant results. So I think that understanding, and another thing I feel would help is to connect to Mother Earth, because I think that is also being so lost in these modern times. Like, Earth is a planet that we live on, and there is such a big disconnect happening from that. I feel like everything we get is from Mother Earth, and there is no gratitude. There is nothing. That's what people are just abusing all resources. And I feel that awareness needs to come up big time, is to bring this awareness more into our lives and use our resources wisely for other generations to come, right? Not just our resources, but our energies too. Like as Saidi said, everything is energy, and so are the resources, right? Everything we have around us are energy. Yeah, so I think preserving those energetically as well, I feel is going to be very beneficial in the modern time.
Thank you. I love that. I love that you really touch on slowing down and honoring, being grateful. Those are all ancient wisdoms that really would behoove us to take notice of. So thank you. Thank you. Joyita, would you like to share your answer, please?
Let me unmute myself. Yeah.
I know.
So, what I would like to talk about, in our culture, we have something called Shukrana. Shukrana is simply gratitude. So if we start a day with gratitude, end our day with gratitude, and there has to be some amount of, we have it in our tradition to have self-reflection or a self-awareness. So if we reflect on ourselves for 5 minutes before we go to sleep, give gratitude for whatever we've had, even the worst of situations, I think we can be grateful. And I do incorporate it in my life, that every impediment or obstacle is a learning. And I'm grateful for that learning. And whatever I speak from my personal experience. I have experienced it, and it has had a big impact on me. I would say that great gratitude and self-reflection, these are the two things, and which are more than enough. Other things will all fall in place. So yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think you really nailed that one, because gratitude is huge. It's huge. So thank you so much, Joyita, for your share. And Rainbow, what would you say?
If I have to choose one ancient technique, I would choose meditation. There are a lot of different ways to meditate and a lot of different styles. I read I'm always reading books, and, they're always self-help, but sometimes they're business, sometimes and I've noticed lately that every book that I read, somewhere in it, even if it's about business or time management, whatever, they throw in meditation. I think that concept is filtering through. I think I've been doing, I guess you could call it a mantra. It's a Sant Mat thing I was initiated into almost 50 years ago. So I've been doing a mantra and a listening for the sound meditation most of my life. But more and more, I am leaning towards something you might call mindfulness, because it is one definition I've seen is it's a non-reactive attention to sensory, emotional, or mental stimuli. And in my own life, I can get judgmental about my meditation. Was it good enough? Was it long enough? Did my mind? And what I've seen in terms of the whole, and I think they're all wonderful and perfect in whatever you do. You could do a guided meditation, you can listen to. But for me, what's been so healing is just noticing what is with unconditional love, not judging, not, just noticing. But that's where I'm leaning now in terms of my own meditation. But I don't care if it's a mantra or a breathing or I think there's no question that it's something we need to integrate.
Yeah, that's really good. What I hear from all of you is energy, gratitude, slowing down, focusing on our meditation for mindfulness. Being the observer is huge. And then practicing with gratitude. And we do have a comment from Joshua Benjamin on YouTube where he states, I imagine pastel colors being associated with higher vibrations. A rainbow bridge concept is that the gifted psychics of the world are all marked similar in their palmistry, regardless of their religious choice or belief. Any God that does exist would definitely be annoyed by the arrogance of people. And I think that what we are talking about here, and when you mentioned love, rainbow, it really comes down to that our noticing what we notice, observing and giving gratitude for even the smallest things, like Joyita mentioned, slowing it down, like Vanashree mentioned, noticing the energy that we are engaging with, like Saidi mentioned. All of those ancient wisdoms are just like focusing us right into that place of exercising our lives with love. So I'd like to thank you all so much for being here. And just real quick before we wrap up, if you can give me we're going to put all of your links in the comments. So anyone in the audience who would like to engage with any of our panelists, please look for their links in the comment. And then if you have any opportunities to work with you that are coming up, just give me a really brief introduction to that. And I'll start with you, Saidi. Is there anything you have coming up that you want to share?
No, not necessarily. All offerings are on my website. So, and all social links, YouTube videos, all the things. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Saidi. And Vanashree, do you have anything you'd like to share really quick?
Yes, I do. I am coming up with a virtual workshop that anyone from the world can attend. It's going to be a hybrid event where I will be doing some in person and some virtual. It's basically more tailored to high performing professionals who are having stress and gut disorders. So we are going to bring in holistic or more Ayurvedic holistic ways to balance this vicious cycle of stress and gut health, and how to break it, and how to understand who you truly are. So yeah, all the information, we haven't yet decided the date. The date is to be decided, but it would be in the first quarter of the coming year. So please look it up on the website.
Yes, and we'll have your links in the comments. So anyone interested in Vanashree's upcoming event, please check her out. And Joyita, is there anything you'd like to mention?
Nothing in particular. Everything would be given in the links. However, on 14th, which is like 2 days away, 3 days away, I have my tribe meeting coming up, and it is on inner child healing. Do give it a try.
Yes, please come and join. Joyita has a beautiful tribe. Beautiful tribe.
Thank you.
And Rainbow, is there anything that you would like to mention?
Yeah, I don't have a date for it yet, but I'm going to be doing a fasting group, probably a 3-month group, and people will fast. I've had people fast for 7 weeks and for 2 days, it'll be dependent, but it will be a fasting sort of to, undo all the damage we all do at the holidays and to kind of start the new year. So it'll probably be late January that I'll be doing
Okay,
that.
good. So again, anyone out there interested in Rainbow's offer, please check out her links in the comments. And I just want to wrap up with thanking each and every one of you for coming and being such a wise panel of women that just gave such a plethora of information. And I just, I can't imagine our audience must just be so grateful. So thank you. And I'd like to end with letting everyone know that please come and join us at thesacredyou.love. You can tell we put on beautiful events like this where we are really engaged in having conversations, getting other opinions, spreading the word of empowerment, and lifting those around us up. We offer a trial for $1 to check out for the first 14 days. All of the various groups that we offer are different tribes. They're just beautiful. Like Joyita has the Child Within coming up this Thursday on the 14th. Come and check it out and give it an opportunity and see what else is calling you there. We have a variety of wonderful tribes. So I want to thank everyone for coming. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.